how is it connecting to the community? How is it bringing people together, like-minded, that like, the same thing?
Hi everyone, welcome to Media Coffee. I'm your host Sami Saad, and I'm joined by Alida Hernandez, the founder of Spanglish Entertainment, a media company dedicated to bridging the gap between English and Spanish-speaking audiences. With a background in journalism and broadcasting, Alida has worked on everything from TV production to podcasting. Alida, how are you?
I'm great. How are you today? Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, of course. It's good to have you on. Let's just talk a little bit about your background in journalism, how you got started, what's your inspiration behind Entertainment?
Well, actually, I started my background in technology back in the 80s, starting with when IT started with PCs and everything. And I got to a point that I was bored, basically. I was tired. I was burnt out, right? So I decided to back go into my passion, which was music, because both my parents are musicians, or they were musicians. So I started diving into the music industry, started doing promotions for artists, and kind of self-taught, started taking courses online and just learning, to write more and become a journalist and how to interview people and just kind of just hit the street and went running.
Awesome. And how did it lead you to, how did you start Spanglish Entertainment? What was your inspiration?
First of all, I started the magazine because I felt that artists should be heard. I support artists out there, especially our local artists. There are, especially I'm in Florida, so there are a gazillion amounts of artists. Like it's like you go to California, there's tons of actors, right? So
Hmm.
here there's musicians everywhere and really talented people out there that are not getting showcased, that are not being heard. So it was like it was all about giving a voice to the Hispanic American that lives here in the United States. And it was I started it more for the Latins doing it in Spanish and bilingual too, but I felt that it was better to just do it in English because there's a lot of generations. I'm first generation born in New York City, and from my parents both from Puerto Rico. So now at this point in time, there's third, fourth, fifth generations that know the culture, right, from your parents or your grandparents, but you don't speak a word of Spanish.
Right,
So why not have something that talks about the Spanish culture, but in English for those who don't speak the language and really want to learn about it?
right. That's a great segue to my next question. Can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of blending Spanish and English to cater all to all Latino audiences, Latino Americans? How do you find that balance?
Well, it's interesting because when you talk to somebody who has both languages, like 50-50, okay?
Hmm.
But pretty much you speak it naturally sometimes when you know the other person does too. So the Spanish English will start combining. We're like, oh, ¿cómo está? Oh, how are you? What's next? Oh, sí, voy para allá. Like you're mixing the both languages, and sometimes you don't realize it until somebody tells you. And it's because we were raised in that culture. Like at home, we spoke the Spanish, and then when we went out, our grandparents even told us, and my parents said, "You speak English because that's the language of where we live. So you speak the English outside, but home it's Spanish."
Do you have any tips for PR professionals or communications professionals trying to reach, Hispanic, Latin American publications?
Well, I'm hoping that now they hear this word Spanglish, right? A lot of people have never heard this word, and they'll say, "What is that?" And get interested in Spanish English. So it's the fusion of the cultures, and that they reach out to us, right? Send me emails, send me the press releases. I do get a lot of press releases from country music to reggaeton, So I have a mixture of both. And I engage all of it because even though they're not Latin, I do support the arts. And I like to support like the younger, up and coming and everything. But basically, they just need to look online and search for us. There's not too many publications. I don't think there is no where I'm the only Spanglish entertainment. And I know there's a lot of other magazines out there, but they're more either all Spanish or dedicated to one topic. So mine is just entertainment, art. So you could be an actor, you could be a singer, you could be a painter. So anything, dancer, anything that's cultural I just went to a violin concert, and they were all Latino and African American. So it's just supporting the culture. We're all American. And
Mhm.
that's the bottom line. We're all American, and our life is a little more complex because our Latin culture um, is mixed with the American culture. And as you know, you're from another culture, so you know how that is. You have a mixture, and
100%.
sometimes we're misunderstood because of that. They don't know how to engage. Do I engage? Do they speak English? I speak perfect both.
Yeah. Are there any like cultural nuances or anything, along those lines where like
Well,
you think Mhm.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, just that you think that PR professionals should keep in mind when they're like pitching you.
Well, you know, we as an American here, Latino American, right? I engage in all kinds of culture. So there shouldn't be a like a set thing. Like don't categorize us. Yes,
Right.
yes, we have two languages, but most of I mean, well, Latinos love music. So that's one thing. Music, anything about music, we would like to engage in. And it could go from jazz to whatever it is because our cultures founded a lot of the music too. And back in New York and back in the day, a lot of the hip hop was influenced by people from the Bronx, Puerto Ricans from the Bronx playing, and the blacks in the Bronx doing music together. So there's a real cultural connection to jazz, to blues, from the island. So it's a mixture of the
Yeah.
cultures that come to bring the music.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's talk about press releases. So you mentioned you do receive a lot of press releases. Um, so which ones stand out for you? What do you look for? What attracts your attention when you open an email and there's a press release in there? What stands out for you?
I usually look for something that's engaging in the community. So regardless of whatever it is, how is it connecting to the community? How is it bringing people together, like-minded, that like, the same thing? And I think that's the most important thing is that you have that community connection.
And how important is it to offer bilingual press releases? Do you care about that?
Um, I mean, nowadays you can translate it yourself with no problem
Yeah.
with Google, except that Spanish, when you translate Spanish to English, it can lose the sense. So you really have to be careful. So if it's something that's in Spanish culture, it should be in Spanish. And then, you know, they should try to provide some of it in English, just a little paragraph so we can, bring it over to the English
Mhm.
side.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's
And
just that cultural translation sometimes. Sometimes I read it and I go, what the heck is that? That's not what I meant to say.
yeah, that's why I always say do your research first before you pitch any journalist, just in any industry for that matter.
Yeah,
So it's very
yeah.
important to do that. Um, and then okay, when someone pitches you a press release and you're too busy to open it or to read it, do you care if they follow up with you or how many days should someone give until they do a follow up?
I have no problem with follow-ups because
Mhm.
yes, I get very, very busy. I don't know, in a day I could get 1,000 emails. So
Yeah.
it's just too much. And I'm reading. I read like at 3 in the morning. I'm scrolling, reading. Oh, I star them. Oh, that looks good. I have to do the little Cliff Note version.
Right.
But they can follow up because a lot of times I'll get their follow-up 2 or 3 times. They come and they send me it. I have no problem with that.
Right. Okay.
Because it just helps me it brings it back to the top of the list, right? So
Yeah, yeah, 100%. That's good to know.
yeah.
Um, and then how do you source your stories when you want to write a new article or, assign an article? Where do you get your story ideas from?
Um, well, I do a lot of research online, right? So depending on what the topic is, I'll delve into it. Sometimes I delve into it really deep, So
Mhm.
I do a lot of things with health also. I have a podcast on health. And so that I really tell people about my personal experiences. So just online research, also talking to experts in the field also.
Mhm.
So I can call a doctor or whatever it is, to get some more information. So I've built a good community of people already over the years. And I kind of built the community before I started the magazine.
Mhm.
So I can have the people there wait, oh, the magazine came out now.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely helps having the community first,
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
that's a great way to do it. You mentioned your podcast. I was going to ask you about that. How many podcasts are you doing? Do you have one podcast or
We have
multiple?
3 podcasts.
Okay, yes. Do you want to
So
talk a little bit about them?
sure. Yeah. So on Tuesdays at 5:30, I go live on YouTube and on social media. And I have Rebooted Mindset, which is a podcast that I created after I had a stroke 8 years ago. And I went through physical, mental, everything challenges, health wise. And I now incorporated expert people, people who've written books, and just talking about health and how we can live a better, healthier life and live longer. And then on Wednesday, I have Spanglish Cafe music podcast, which is we interview salsa artists around the world. We've interviewed over 300 artists already, and a lot of people are right here that live in your city, in your neighborhood. They could be your neighbor. So a lot of talent out there, always supporting artists. And then on Thursday, we do Freestyle Showcase podcast, which is we brought a lot of the old school freestyle music from the 80s and the 90s. We've interviewed Angel from Cover Girls, Johnny O, the Freestyle King, and just a lot of people out there showcasing old and new, always showcasing also both. So there's a lot of new artists coming up, so we try to do that as well. So those are the 3 podcasts. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and you can find it on YouTube on Spanglish Entertainment.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Um, what advice do you have for someone looking to launch and grow their own, media platform or podcast?
Well, you have to be knowledgeable about the industry, right? You have to start making friends and connecting to the community, to the music industry, because it's a very small world. It really is. It's not as big as you think it is when it comes to working with people.
Hmm.
And try to engage, go out to events, meet people. Again, that's I think the way you need to start. And then getting people to know you and trust you. So when you send out a platform, they're like, wow, this is the good. That's the woman I was talking to the other day. Look what she did. Wow, this is great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So any final thoughts? I know we're close to wrap up, so do you have any final thoughts that you wanted to share, maybe with this podcast is basically catered to like communications professionals, PR professionals, trying to, get stories across the media, and this specific episode is, focusing on LatAm audiences. So, any final thoughts that you wanted to share with those professionals to how to get stories and
Right.
publications, placements in Latin American media?
Basically, the Hispanic community is like everywhere.
Hmm.
You'll run into a Puerto Rican in every city, I think, and the same thing for other cultures. So because of that, it's like letting people understand that we're involved in everything. We have astronauts, lawyers, doctors, people in the Senate. So our culture has mixed with the American culture all over the place. So we have such a diversity. Don't be afraid to send us press releases. If something resonates with me or with anybody in the Latin culture, we're like, oh, sounds interesting. Let me call them, So you just never know what's going to resonate with us.
Yeah, that's good. Good to know. Um, and then do you also have audiences in like Latin America and South America too, or
Yes.
is it just the US?
Yes. No, we have audiences from Hawaii to Florida, and then we have Canada, we have Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic,
Mhm.
Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, Spain, so Canary
Yeah,
Islands. So I mean, there's so many, and then there's a big community in Germany and Italy too of salsa. So it's going in different in
global.
countries already. So you can find everything on Spanglish-entertainment.com.
Yeah,
Everything's on there. We're doing a cruise in October, so check it out, and maybe you want to cruise with us in the beautiful ocean over here from Port Canaveral down to the Bahamas.
that's awesome. That sounds great. You're going global, and I love to hear that. Um, And do you promote events in those countries, or is it like promoting events in the US for like,
Sometimes I do promote some events in other countries as well.
yeah,
Puerto Rico, they're having their first food and wine festival this weekend ever. So different things that are going around because the cultures do mix and people do go to the islands and they go and they want to do business. Remember,
mm,
we can do business with anybody in the world. So people have to remember that.
yeah. And then I forgot to ask this question before, but if someone wants to reach you, would you prefer like an email or like LinkedIn? What's your preferred method of
They can send me an email so that we can
email?
start the engagement and then we can set up a time to talk.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
usually the best. Yeah,
that's great to hear. And you already mentioned where people can, find Spanglish Entertainment, the website.
exactly.
How about you? Where can people find you and connect you?
On
With,
social media, I'm Alida Hernandez.
yeah,
Most of this stuff is under Spanglish Entertainment on all platforms, YouTube. You can find me on LinkedIn as under Alida Hernandez,
yeah.
and you can find me there. I have over 18,000 people on my LinkedIn page, so big diverse of journalists and musicians all around the world.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alida. This is a great conversation. It's really nice getting to know you and learning more about your background and Spanglish Entertainment. So that's a wrap for us for Media Coffee. Big thank you again
Thank you
for
very much.
joining us.